Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to today's Change Does Matter webinar. Those of you who haven't met me yet, my name is Margit Takacs. I'm a change management consultant running my own business, working with clients and consulting, training and coaching. Last year, I had the opportunity to publish my first book on the topic that I'm so passionate about, called Change Matters. And in light of that, I decided that to keep sharing knowledge, insights, and ideas with my network, I would do regular webinars. In today's session, I have a guest that I would warmly like to welcome, Cyriel Kortleven. Cyriel is a fantastic global speaker on the topic of change management. He's based in Antwerp, Belgium, but I guess that's where you pay rent. That's about it, because he is a global speaker. If you follow him, you will notice that he's advocating everything we believe around change around the world in all continents. He and I met at a conference about 10 years ago, and I still remember the feeling he left me with. We are both in the field of change. We approach it slightly differently. I'm more on the consulting project perspective, on practical application. But this gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, is going to spice up our way of thinking about change and transformation. I have attended several of his sessions in person and virtual as well. And it's my absolute privilege to welcome him to the Change Mavericks community I have the chance to regularly communicate with. And I can't wait for today's sessions to start. Cyriel has a new speech called Making Change Simple. Now, this speech lasts normally for 75 minutes. And being buddies and partners in crime, I have challenged him to do that in approximately 45 minutes. So take today as an appetizer, a teaser to what he stands for, what he advocates. After the short introduction and the 45 minutes insight to his brilliant speech, I've had this chance to observe already, we would like to open up the floor to questions as well. So today's session is going to be approximately 60 minutes, respecting for most of you the lunchtime. So thank you so much for joining. And Cyriel, I would love to pass the word over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Margit. Wow, what an introduction. Expectations are high, so I'll do my best to make sure that you get a lot of inspiration. And indeed, 45 minutes, that will be my big challenge. So I would say we'll immediately dive in. What you will notice, I will be using things like this. So maybe you want to put me on the speaker view, because it might be a little bit small, because I will also using a different tool where I will be in a slide. So it will be a mixture, but feel free, if you have a question, I would say put it in the chat. We can take it in the end, and I'll put my timer. Oops, I'm going to put it on 45 minutes, and here we go. It will also be a bit interactive. If you can answer, I would say unmute yourself and you can answer during just talking, or you can type it into the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, making change simple. Change can sometimes be quite hard and difficult. And I immediately would like to start with a little exercise. The exercise is called Yep, Nope. I'm going to ask you a few questions and you can answer in two ways. If the answer is positive, you say yep. If the answer is negative, you say nope. You can do that also quite enthusiastically. So feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat. You can also give me a thumb down, thumbs up for this one. All right. Did it already happen to you in the past that you started to work enthusiastically to work on a project and you really wanted to focus on a certain project? Have you had such a day? I see a lot of yups. And did it work for you without any distractions? Okay, probably not for everyone. Okay, did it already happen that you brought in an idea in the team to improve something? And I see a lot of thumbs again. Yep. And was everyone very enthusiastic to go for it? No, no, in the middle somewhere. Okay, any one of you already started with a New Year's resolution that you wanted to do something this year in a positive way?
Yep.
We get a lot of yeses. And did you realize all the dreams?
Nope.
Okay, some people again in the middle. Last question. Any parents in the room? Any parents in the room? Yeah. Second question, was it a big success? You don't have to answer on that one. That's totally. Why did they do or ask these questions? Just to show you, a lot of times trying to do a lot of things with good intentions, but it's not always working. You know, a lot of the change projects that we're doing, it starts at 99% of the time with a good intention, but in reality, a lot of times it's more difficult. As well for personal ambitions, you know, you want to change a personal behavior or you want to change something in your organization. Apparently, there are several studies that say that around 70% of all the change projects that they fail, 70%. There are some discussions on this topic. If it is really 70%, but I think it is really high. We try to do a lot of things and they are not always working. Now, what do I want to do today? What is in for you? What is in for me? I look at myself as a kind of a curator, yeah, of a museum. What I've done in the last year, I've collected a lot of information of how can we change behavior? How can we improve the success rate of change? Again, as well personal as in organizations. I work mainly with larger companies. And what I've done, I've read a lot of books. I've watched probably every TEDx movie on this topic, and I brought it all together. But I can imagine a lot of you, you're working as a change manager. You are the expert. You are the artist, you know, and I'm the curator, and I took something from here, I took something from there. And what I've done, I've tried to create a very simple story. Yeah, so I love simplicity. I believe that with some simple guidelines, we can already solve 80% of the challenges. And then we need the experts to do some other stuff. I brought this all together, and you will get from me 3 big principles. There are a few more, but I will share today 3 big principles, how we can make change a little bit more simple. What I'll give you at the end, you will get access to all my slides. And I'm also starting at the end of the month, so in 2 weeks, I'm launching a newsletter with all my killed darlings. Yeah, because during the whole year, I collected a lot of insight and stuff. Those will be in the newsletter. Today, you get the summary. Are you ready for it? Let's dive into the topic. I start with a certain app that's running in our brain. And it's an app that probably, maybe you haven't heard of it, but maybe it resembles something else. And it's the app Brainflix. You know, I think Brainflix, it's an app, it starts running from the moment we're born. You don't need an iPhone for it. It's an app that runs in your brain. And how does it work? It looks a little bit like this. There's all kind of different programs and shows that are running. And it maybe resembles a little bit to the app Netflix that you know, but it works a little bit the same. Let me dive into one of those shows. It's a very popular show, yeah, on Brainflix. Most people know this show quite well. It's called The Morning Ritual. How does it work? At one moment, your day starts, and it maybe starts with an alarm clock. What happens when the alarm clock goes? Immediately, another episode is triggered. In my case, it's the Zoom button, you know, and sometimes I press it twice, but this is how my day starts. At one moment, the next action is triggered and I get out of my bed, grab a cup of coffee or tea, I take a shower, have breakfast. Yeah, some people already, Ravi is drinking some coffee or tea. And that's part of my morning ritual. And it happens almost every day in the same way. Now, what's interesting is that one episode is triggered by the next one. So if one action is done, immediately the next one is started. Now, what's really interesting, because this app is working in our brain, there are several studies that explain that most of the episodes that are started are triggered by our unconscious brain. You know, there have been studies and they say that it's around 95 to 98% of all the decisions and the programs that are running are unconscious. So they happen, you know, in our brain. We don't have to make a conscious decision. It's just happening. And I would like to do a quick exercise just to show you the difference between conscious, unconscious. Yeah, what I'm going to ask you, and you can do it out loud, but you can also just do it behind your laptop. But I'm going to ask you, can you give me the days of the week? And you start with Monday, then you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, I did it for you, but I'm quite sure that all of you could use this in the same way. Now I'm going to ask you, can you do it in the reverse order? So we start with Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Brilliant. Okay, now I'm going to ask you, can you give me the days of the week in an alphabetical order? Go. Okay, now if you look at some faces,
Which language?
Like
Which language, sir?
which language? You can do it in whatever language you want. I'm going to stop you for a moment. I'm going to give you the solution. Yeah, I'm going to give you the solution. Otherwise, some people will be busy with it the rest of the presentation. But I had a feeling that most of you, it was a little bit harder. You know, why? This is the difference between conscious, unconscious. Unconsciously, it's easy to give the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You just do it because you don't have to think about it anymore. But if you have to do it in alphabetical order, it's a lot harder. Another nice example is people who learn to drive a car. Yeah. In the beginning, it's very hard because you have to do everything in a conscious way. But after a while, when it becomes unconscious, it becomes easier and easier to do this. And I imagine, you know, that in our brain, we have a little guy running around. Yeah. And this is Nick. I'm introducing him to him. He is, for me, what I would say, he's our film technician. Yeah. He's responsible for running all the programs in our unconscious brain. And at this moment, a lot of them are running right now. You know, he's controlling your heart rate, your emotions. Maybe you're already thinking about what you're going to do after lunch, what you have to buy for dinner. That's all happening in your brain, and you're not really conscious about it. But he does it effortless, and it's brilliant. I call him even our personal assistant. Yeah. Now, those programs are running, and I pick out a different program. This is the program, The Office. Maybe you also know this program. How does that one works? Some people, they get into the office, they sit behind your desk, you know, and you start working on your emails. You have to go to a meeting. At the same time, you know, the pile of to-dos on your desk is getting bigger and bigger. You have to hurry for your next meeting. By the way, this is a guy that's running away. Yeah, some people had some different impressions. And really, at the end of the day, you're really tired because, you know, you still had so much to do. I hope that this is not a daily rhythm for you, but maybe you have some days where it looks a little bit like this. Now, what's the trick? What do we have to do if you want to break this pattern, if you want to break this unconscious program and do something different? At that moment, what we have to do is press the pause button. Literally, pause and take a conscious decision. If you know I'm not happy if I'm going to start my day immediately starting work on my emails, chances are quite big that I don't start with the priorities and my day goes maybe in a direction that I don't want. So at that moment, yeah, let's take this example again. You get into the office, you sit behind your desk, and maybe for a fraction of a second, you think, hey, wait a minute, Cyriel, is it very smart to start with my emails right now? And you take a pause. and you think consciously, no, maybe I shouldn't start with my emails. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a little list of my 3 priorities today. Yeah. And maybe you give yourself a timer that you're going to work for 1 hour on the first priority. And probably you make a lot more progress. Maybe you even have time to have a normal lunch or a sandwich during lunchtime. And your day might go in a totally different direction. Why? Because you pushed the pause button and you make a conscious decision. I don't want this automatic program running again and again. I want to change something in there. Okay, then you can ask the question, Cyriel, if it is that easy, just pressing the pause button, why do we have so many habits that we don't like? Why are so many change projects are going wrong? And it has something to do, again, with our friend Nick. Yeah, he is very good at the job that he's doing. Yeah, his main purpose is survival as a human being. So he wants to preserve energy. That's the reason why he has so many automatic programs running, because if it is automatic, you don't have to think about it. It doesn't cost a lot of energy. But in some cases, when we want to change something, we press the pause button, that's okay. But if the change is too big, is too vague, or is too complex, he freaks out. Yeah. And then it's panic. Yeah. It's not, or personal assistant freaks out. What is going to happen? He's going to fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah. This is a little bit what happened when we did the exercise with the days of the week. Give them to me in alphabetical order. I saw some of you, that's the freeze reaction, because he doesn't immediately know what he has to do. It's too difficult, and he's not going to do anything. Now, the days of the week, that's a very simple task, but look at our organizations, and sometimes we get a change where people ask us, we have to be more innovative. Okay, that's quite a big challenge. That's quite a complex challenge. So what happens? Nick freaks out and he's not going to do anything. So taking that pause is already step 1. And I'm going to give you 3 principles how we can make it a little bit easier. Now, just one, let me see, I'm timing. Yeah, we're doing well. How can you make this break, this pause, a little bit stronger? And I'm going to learn you a method. It's from, should be here. It's from a guy, Andrew Huberman. Maybe you can't read it, but you get the slide. It's a guy, he's really busy with breathing methods. He is a neuroscientist, and he came up with the physiological sigh. Yeah, and he is saying that it is the fastest way to reduce stress. I'm going to ask you, do it together with me. We're going to practice it and see how it works. It works as follows. You breathe in, and then you add in an extra short breath. So it works as follows. Then you breathe out, and breathing out is little bit longer than the 2 breaths that you take in. Yeah, give it a try. You can just do it at your home. So breathe in. Apparently, if you do this 2 or 3 times when you are stressed, what is happening? Your brain is giving signals. I have to relax. And sometimes maybe you recognize this from children. You know, also children do it when you see it when they're crying and they're very angry, that sometimes when they're crying, they cry like this. You know, they have an extra breath, and that's our brain giving signals. Hey, we need to slow down. So by doing this, immediately stress goes down a little bit. Now, I would like to give you a variation. Yeah, because this is the way how we can reduce stress. But I'm going to give you the fastest way to increase the success rate of change. And this one works as follows. It's the same thing. You start with 1 breath, short extra breath, but instead of breathing out, you say, yeah, so use the letter S. Okay, let's give it a try. We do it 1 time together. So it's and now You gave me the summary of my whole presentation. 3 times S. If we want to increase the change, success rate of change, can we make it specific? Can we make it smooth? Can we make it smaller? And then I'm absolutely sure that change will be a little bit more simple. Let's start. Just as a practice, let's do it one more time, and then we start with the first S. So it's and the first S is specific. What do I mean by specific? Imagine we are in a meeting. We have a town hall meeting. The whole company is coming together. They're sitting in a room. Also, our friend Nick is sitting there, and the CEO is going to give a speech. And during the speech, he is saying, "We want to be a sustainable organization." What's happening? Nick is hearing this and is thinking, a sustainable organization? You know, that's quite vague. He doesn't know what to do. So what happens? He panics and he doesn't know what to do. Yeah. We have to be sustainable. Okay, I don't know exactly what he have to do. So he sticks to the patterns and the habits that he already knows. So what can you do? And we see this quite a lot of an organization. Certainly if new initiatives are coming from the management, a lot of times we use these kind of terms. We need to be sustainable. We need to be agile. We need to be a client-oriented organization. But it's so high level that people, they don't know exactly what they have to do. What's the big trick here? You know, what's the trick if you really want to make things specific, is asking this question. Can you take a picture of the desired behavior? So this could be a small rule of thumb, a guideline. The next time when you want to change something in your personal behavior, or you want to help your team or employees to really get into action, ask yourself this question. Can I make a picture of desired behavior? We want to be a sustainable organization. I don't know how to make a picture of that. Okay, then maybe we want to save energy. I still can't make a picture of it. Okay, what we are going to ask is that you switch the light switch, you know, at the end of the day. Ah, interesting. I can make a picture of that. I can see it. That's a specific action, and the chance if you give an instruction like that, a lot more people will do it. Maybe quick example, because when I was sharing this topic, somebody came to me and he was saying, "Cyriel, we're exactly doing this in my organization." And that person, he had an organization. He was, how do you call it? He had a service to repair cars. So if a car broke down, you know, in the middle of the road, they could call that company, and then they would send a technician. So that technician would go to the client and would try and fix the car. But what happened, they had around 20 technicians, and they had 6 or 7 different vans with all the tools in. But every time, you know, a person would take a different van. And what happened at the end, they would place the tools in a different way. And people were complaining about it. And they already had talked about it. And they gave instructions, you have to clean it. And it was not working. So at one moment, what they've done, they brought the whole team together. And they said, okay, now we are going to create the ideal set of tools. Yeah. And how are we going to clean it? How are we going to keep it clean? They literally made pictures of it, and they put the pictures in the van. So now when you go to a client, you fix a car, you really have to put all the tools at the same way. I think this is a nice example of indeed making it very, very specific. Now, the interesting thing is that even as a management, if you want to stimulate something like this, you don't have to think about it and do it all yourself. You know, ask the people who are doing it. I call this sometimes trust the locals. You know, we trust the locals when we go on a holiday. Yeah, where do we want to go to a restaurant? We check with the locals. But why don't we do this with our employees. You know, we want to make things sustainable. Ask the accounting department, hey, what are very specific actions what you would do to make something specific? Or maybe the sales department, they have different things. Ask it. And I would even say, if we even can go one level deeper, if you can even make it into a personal commitment, that would even be better. But to be really honest, I haven't seen that a lot of times. You know, this could be, wouldn't it be great? And let's take this example of sustainability. If we could make a personal sustainability commitment, maybe we have a list of 10 to 15 very specific actions that people can do, and they can choose 5 of them. Yeah, because for me, you see some examples coming with a bike or public transport to the office. That might be relevant for me if there is a train station close by. But you can imagine somebody who lives in a very small village. Okay, that's not very practical. So let people choose which are the specific actions that you can take. I'm quite sure that the acceptance level and engagement level would be a lot higher. Maybe one more last thing in here. If you make something specific, you can do it on the action level, but also look at it at the problem level. You know, a lot of times we don't spend enough time on analyzing the challenge. You know, what's the real challenge that you want to do? We want to be innovative, but how innovative? Do we want to come up with new products? Do we want that people come up with new ideas? And a lot of times we immediately, we start going on a certain route. We take actions, but then at the end we discover, hey, wait a minute, this wasn't exactly the goal that we really wanted to achieve. And I just give a small example that shows that being very specific and analyzing the problem is also very important. This happened in the UK. What they wanted to do, it's a few years ago, and they wanted that people were insulating the attic. Yeah, because that would save money, it's good for the environment. And they had a lot of rational reasons why people should do it. And they made promotion, they even gave away grants, you know, for people if you insulate the attic. And it didn't happen. People weren't doing it. And they were asking, why not? You know, they can save money, all those people. But then there was a nudge unit in the UK, and they were analyzing what's the reason behind it. And what did they find is that most people weren't insulating the attic. And this was the big reason, because they had a lot of mess on their attic. There was a lot of stuff there. So people, they didn't want to go to all the trouble of cleaning the attic and then have space to insulating. So what have they done now? And I think it's really brilliant. Instead of giving a grant to insulate the attic, they gave a grant to clean the attic. So a company would come in and would help you cleaning it. What happened? It tripled to 5-fold. More people were doing it, and it was a successful action. So sometimes we really need to know why are people doing certain things or are not doing certain things. We might imagine why they're doing it, but it's always very good to check, is that the true reason? All right, that was the specific. I'm going to ask you to breathe in again with me for the second step. Here we go. Second one is, can we make it smooth? Can we make it a little bit easier for people to allow Nick, again, to don't get into panic? In this situation, also a program that might be running, it's the team meeting. And what's happening, they're sitting in a team and the boss is asking, we need a few more ideas. You know, if we want to have a bit more ideas, we want to be more innovative. That's the first step. And then he's adding to it. And once you have an idea, I'm going to ask you to make a little business plan. We need also some financials. And of course, you need a commitment from your boss. So what's happening? Yeah, I see Ravi already looking like this. Oh, what's happening? Indeed, Nick thinks, okay, I want to give an ID, but making a business plan and making financials and getting a signature, he freaks out. Yeah, he gets into panic again. What's the big reason? It's too complicated. We make it, give me an ID. That's simple enough, and that's also quite specific. But if you have to do all those other tasks, he finds it too complicated. What can we do to make things a little bit less complicated? The big insight here, where we at with specific, can you make a picture of it? Here it would be, can you reduce resistance? Now, we human beings, we have quite a lot of resistance. And there, again, have been several studies. By the way, I followed a 2-day training on behavioral science and looking what are some of the big things why people aren't doing certain stuff. And in psychology, apparently there are 3 big reasons why people resist to change. One of them is reactance. And what does reactance mean? People want autonomy. If I'm going to say yeah, everybody, you have to do this, probably even if I give you a brilliant tip, you will say, I don't have to do anything. We want to make autonomous decisions. So that's the reactance. Another one is a lot of people have skepticism, yeah, and the need behind it is security. So they are a little bit afraid, is it going to work? What will happen? So they have a lot of questions. And the last one is inertia. And inertia is need for energy. This is most of the time the last phase. People know what they have to do. They also know that it's good for them, but they're still not doing it. This is the reason why people are still smoking, drinking, doing bad habits. It's not really good for you, but apparently you don't have enough energy to get there. So what can we do? For example, the reactance. If people need autonomy, one of the great examples that I love is, I talk a lot about Brainflix. So I thought maybe an example from Netflix is also interesting. What they've done in Netflix is to give people more autonomy. Most people have travel and expense policies, but then people have to keep their notes. They have to fill out papers. They need a person to check everything. You need a whole auditing team who's going to check, are the notes real, and can we really give the money back? Yeah. What have they done within Netflix? They eliminated all of this. You don't have to put in or give papers anymore. They skipped the whole controlling team and they changed it with 5 words. Act in Netflix's best interest. So if you think that you need an expensive dinner with maybe a producer, then okay, that's your decision. You can, your autonomy, you have the autonomy to decide if you're going to do it or not. But you can get a question, if you do this every time and other colleagues, they just go and grab a sandwich with a client and you always go to a 3-star restaurant. Okay, you have to explain why. You have to, and if you have a good reason, brilliant. But I think this is a nice example of giving people more autonomy, let them make certain decisions, and it will reduce their resistance already a little bit. Another example, this is a bit more for skepticism. A lot of time, if there is a change happening, people are a little bit skeptical and they come up with words like, yes, but we don't have time, we don't have money, we've already tried it. And they don't really listen to the opportunities. So one of the methods that I've used several times, and feel free, everything what you hear today, if you can use it in your own organization, go ahead. I call it the yes, but wall. How does it work? I'm sitting together with a client and we want to look for new opportunities, but we know that people have some questions. So what do? The first 10 minutes, I give everybody post-it notes and I ask them, what are all the things that can go wrong? What are all the yes, buts? Yeah, but this is not working, that's not good. And they can write it down on post-it notes. we stick them all on a flip chart, put it to the wall. And then after 10 minutes, when they feel, most of the things are on there, I ask them, okay, now we look purposely to the other side of the room and we say, what are the opportunities? If this change would happen, what can we do? What will happen? You are framing people in a different mindset because they have done the yes, but, and sometimes still one pops up that somebody is saying, yes, but, oh, write it down, put it on the wall, and we focus back on the positive elements. And it really helps to create a kind of change in their thinking. So this really helps to lower the skepticism. Yeah. Last one, how can you make sure that people get into action? And at that moment, I think sometimes you have to follow the path of the least resistance. Yeah. If you have to go through this maze, probably the shortest way is take a shortcut. And we human beings, we do this quite a lot. Yeah. Here are some pictures. They call this the elephant paths. If we can win 2 seconds, we will do it because we human beings were a little bit lazy. We take a shortcut. Apparently, we don't like a fence. We go around the fence, and I really love this one. There was an official route, then an elephant path came, and then they made the elephant path official. But if it works, why not? Why aren't we doing it? So sometimes we have what they call nudge people. And what means nudging? Nudging is helping people to go in a certain direction. They still can choose, but you're helping them to go for a direction that's probably the best for them and for society. Quick exercise here. I'm going to show you, you can't read the top yet. I'm going to show you these statistics. These are real statistics. Can you explain me what are these statistics of? Because you see the differences are quite huge. There are huge differences between the different countries. Anyone an idea? You can put it in the chat. What could this be? So why are there so many big differences between the countries? How positive or negative? Then no, that's not the right answer. Yeah. Hours worked per week. Okay, the Danish and the German, they don't work a lot. Okay, I'm going to show it to you. These are organ donations. And what's the difference? The countries with the green area, the default option is yes, I want to donate my organs. The red ones, the default option, and they can still choose, but the default option is no, I don't want to do this. So what's happening? Most people are just following the path of the least resistance because it's a very complex domain. Do you want to donate your organs? I don't know, that's quite a complex challenge or question that I get. So we also see this this is in Austria. They are experimenting with giving a veggie burger. Veggie is normal. If you want a meat burger, you have to ask it. Yeah, and what happens, more and more people will just go for the veggie. And they say afterwards, hey, I like it. So this is the nudging a bit more. All right, I'm going to ask you to breathe in with me again, because we go to the last S. Can we make it small? If you can make it specific, it's very good. If we can make it smooth, take away some resistance, it's very interesting. Can we make it small? At this time, Nick is in a coaching session and he is talking to his coach and he is saying, you know what I like? Sometimes I like to write a little bit, to write a little blog or to write a little article. That's something what I like. And the coach is quite ambitious. And the coach is saying, you know, Nick, this is a very good idea. Why don't you write a book on this topic? And then we make it into a bestseller and you can give lectures all over the world. What happens to Nick? Freak out, and he's probably not going to do it. What's the reason why he gets into panic? he doesn't know where to start writing a book. Whew. Yeah, and I think, Margit, you can say it or writing a book. It's quite a challenge. It's a lot of work. It's really a big challenge. So what I advise you here is take, that was a little bit too fast. I would say learn from a lot of very small experiments. Do a lot of experiments. What's the nice thing about doing an experiment? It doesn't matter if it works or not. It's about the process. The experiment is, hey, for example, take the writing. I'm going to write in the morning. I'm going to write in the evening and see what works best for you. If it is the morning, okay, do that. Another experiment could be, do I need to be alone in a silent room, or do I need to go to a co-working space, where there is a little noise in the background? Okay, and try out a lot of those things. And make it very small. I would even say super small. Some conditions, it can't cost more than €1. You have to do it within 5 minutes, and it doesn't require a lot of energy. Take the example of writing a book. What could be the smallest action that Nick could do to see, if it's working or not? What could be an example there? You can type it in. Margit, I think you need around 3-4 minutes. So I'm going to ask 2 minutes more. Okay, so what could be writing a book? What could be, you have to do it within 5 minutes. You have to do it, you have write a LinkedIn post, how to write, about writing a book. Yeah, nice. Jot down your initial ideas. Yeah, in a journal, what I also sometimes hear is that people say, write for 5 minutes. Every day you have to write 5 minutes or write 100 words. And that might also help. Don't get me wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having big dreams. Yeah, you can be very ambitious. But the actions that you take, write the title. Yeah, I like it, Tim. Yeah. But the ambitions might be big, but make the actions very small. The reason behind it is, if you look at it, we have a big goal. The path isn't one line. It's a lot of very small steps that you take. And probably it's not even a straight line. It goes ups and down, and you can learn from it. And what I would recommend you is also be open. Maybe, having a book, maybe it isn't a book, or it isn't a business book. Maybe it's a non-fiction book, or it's a fiction book, or maybe it's not even a book, it becomes a podcast. Hey, you're still sharing stuff, but be open for that. And be also open to enjoy the path that you're walking. Sometimes we're so focused on the end result that we forget to learn on the way. What can we learn from it? How can we celebrate things? And this was also an interesting insight that I got, because you can make it very small, but if you zoom out, sometimes we miss the big picture. What have you already achieved in your life, and be proud of it. Sometimes we forget it. Also in business, we go from one change project to the next, celebrate with your employees what you've already have done. That also gives a lot of energy. What's a big reason why making so small steps is so important? It's this one. Certainly in the beginning, if you want that people do something new, consistency is more important than intensity. A lot of times when we have a new idea, we want to do something, we have a lot of energy and we make it very big. But sometimes it enables ability, indeed. And it doesn't mean that if you miss one day, that's okay. You didn't write your 100 words today, pick it up the next day and see what's possible. One example here, and then we're going to close the session in the domain of starting very small. Margit told you, I'm working as a speaker, and I started this ambition. I'm working self-employed for the last 20 years. But 7 years ago, I decided I want to become a speaker. And I had big ambitions. I want to become an international speaker. So what I did, I was quite naive about it. I was thinking, okay, what's the country that's the furthest away from Belgium. I was thinking, hey, wait a minute, New Zealand. Yeah, that's for most of us at the other side of the world. I was thinking, hey, if I can deliver a presentation in Belgium and I can deliver a presentation in New Zealand, then all the other countries are easier because they are in between. So if I can get a speech in New Zealand, you know, my international ambitions are a lot easier. Little problem. I didn't know anyone in New Zealand. I had one friend, he traveled there for 3 weeks, but he didn't have any business connections. So what I did, I started very small. I went to LinkedIn and I typed in LinkedIn. You can go to advanced search. I typed in New Zealand with the keywords creativity and innovation. Then you get a list of thousands of people who have those words in their profile. I took the first 10. I thought those are probably the most relevant ones. You don't have an email address on LinkedIn, but you have a name and you have a company. So you go to Google, 5 minutes later, you have an email address, and I've sent a personal email to those 10 people. Hello, I'm Cyriel. I'm coming to New Zealand. Can we have a virtual coffee or tea? What happened from those 10 people? 4 replied. With 2 of them, I had some calls. My first assignment came from one of them. Suddenly, 9 months later, I was working in New Zealand. Now, of course, I tried to repeat this process also in different countries. It didn't work everywhere, but just to show you that sometimes taking very small steps and just try it out, it might work. Sometimes the little things in life, you know, can make a big difference. And I showed this picture, you know, with the toothpaste with the cap on it. Yeah, I think a lot of divorces already happened because the husband or the wife, they didn't put the cap on it again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, life is too short for bad Brainflix series. I would say let's create our own conscious Brainflix series by taking a pause. Last time, breathe in with me. The summary, make it specific. Can you make a picture of desired behavior? Can you make it smooth? Follow the path of the least resistance and make it small. Experiment fast, often and forward, and that will help to make change hopefully a little bit easier in your personal lives, but I hope also in your organization. This was my story, 3 minutes over time, but I'm still happy with it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
That's how long the introduction took. Thank you so much, Cyriel. We wanted to deliberately make it possible for you to ask questions. So please share any questions. We are here to think tank together about how to bring this forward, either for your organization or for the people that you work with, because I know some of you work as business owners running your own consultancy. Some of you are within an organization. So we can look at either of the angles. Any questions we can explore together with Cyriel?
Questions or insights? Yeah, GP?
Cyriel, Margit, wonderful. Thank you so much. Question is on universality of this approach. Or is there any cultural differentiation? Go to China, go to Latin America, go to Russia, or is this universal?
Good question. To be really honest, I haven't tried it out in Asia and Latin America yet. I'm quite sure in the Western world, yes. If I hear the stories that I hear from a lot of organizations, what they're doing, what I'm noticing that a lot of times the projects are too big, the projects are too vague or too complex. And the Brainflix metaphor, what I used, that's something universal. Yeah, so how our brain works and that it freaks out at those moments, that works. But if you can apply it in the different cultures, I think yes, but I don't have experience with it yet.
Yeah,
Why do you ask
statistics for the next call, huh? To see the adoption rate of the same approach or what has to be localized. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true.
It is a relatively new speech from Cyriel, so The proof of the pudding is yet to come, but I did like eating it. Last time when you did this workshop or this speech, and also today, I did find quite a few nuggets there. But JP, it's interesting you asked this question, because for the next Change Does Matter webinar, I've already chosen a topic where, with whoever is joining, I'm going to explore change and culture.
Nice.
A case study from Bali, it could be anywhere, but we're going to look at 8 cultural dimensions. Some of you might be familiar with Erin Meyer's culture map model that I personally love. And I'd like to have a constructive discussion about how we can bring
Nice.
some of our teachings into what we do across the world. So welcome to join or watch the
Very
replay
important.
at the end of
Yeah.
April, JP. Thank you for
I sign up a pre-book or discount. Huh?
Yeah.
I will send the link in 2 days' time when the current link is going to be replaced with that. So definitely, I'm very excited about it. Thank you for the question, JP. How about the others? Any questions, topics?
Or insights? What were the things that really popped up or stuck with you? It was, of course, very short. They have some more examples that bring it to life. But if you're interested, I have a newsletter series. Maybe I should already share the link. There you get more examples. But I'm wondering, do you recognize it? Do you think it's relevant? Questions? Yeah, go ahead. Ravi.
Yeah, I think so. I'm curious because a lot of the stuff we have to do is almost a pre-preparation for those discussions. So particularly when you're looking at kind of C-level or at least higher management, it's kind of how you, before you even have or look at implementing this, it's what preparation activities you would do beforehand to almost prepare them for having that discussion.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that this main message is for people who are involved in change. Keep these things in mind. If we know that our unconscious brain is working like this, so if we're going to give people an instruction, you have to be client-oriented, you already know that they're probably not going to do anything. So in your preparation, I would already take those 3 principles. I see it as a kind of a checklist. Hey, can we make it smaller? Can we make it more specific? Can we take away some resistance that we know that will happen to increase the chance that people will do it? So I really would use it indeed in preparation already.
Yeah.
But you understand it. A lot of times in the preparation stage, you're still working on a very abstract level. But if you already know, hey, we have to do something to make sure to influence our unconscious brain, hopefully it helps a little bit.
Nice. And you said you're going to send the slides, which is appreciated. Do you have them in Dutch by any chance?
Yes, I also have them in Dutch. If you go to
in Dutch as well, please.
Yeah, yes, give me more. If you go, yes, give me more, I just added in the chat. There you can subscribe to the newsletter and you can download the Dutch and English slides. Yeah. Ravi, I think you also had a question.
Yes, hi. Can I come in? Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, Cyriel, lovely presentation. Really enjoyed the engaging way you put your message across. My question is, once you use the SSS to get the initial change process started, how do you maintain momentum? A lot of times teams and organizations, they do something for maybe just a bit of time, just maybe to get a check mark, and then it doesn't really follow through, does it? So I just wanted to get your view on that, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And at that moment, what pops in again is the consistency. So that's what I see a lot of times, that we put a lot of time and effort to kick off a project, then people are starting it. But I think we really need to measure it, of course. That's also a big thing of change, that if we can't measure it, we don't know if it works or not. But I think we might making it small and making it into a habit. So for example, sometimes if you want to be more innovative, what I've done, I've created some coasters, and I ask people every 3 minutes of your meeting, the last 3 minutes, go to the yes and, do that little exercise. What's happening? You're also improving the skill set of people by doing it every time. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes easier. But I totally agree with you. A lot of the change projects we put a lot of time, effort, and communication beginning it. And then the next project is there and we forget what's happening. So I would think about what are the 2 or 3 little things that we really expect from people to keep it alive. And then the more personal you can make it, the bigger. But it's not an easy job. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes, absolutely. I think measures, in Asian cultures, putting measures around it is something that really, really keeps the momentum going.
Connected to KPIs.
Yeah.
Connect habits to KPIs. That I still
And
see.
one more thing, Cyriel. Let me show you this. Sorry. This is a book I would highly, if you're talking about breathing, if you read
Nice.
this, it's on my library up there, right? So you have to read this book.
Thank you
If
for
you
the
haven't read
tip.
it already,
Yeah,
right?
thank you for the tip.
You will
Change.
love it. It's a life-changing book, sir.
Nice.
Ravi, just one insight. Cyriel showed us that coaster, the Yes and Yes But coaster, and he did also a TED talk where he used this. So if you have 15 minutes, I put the YouTube link into the chat. I would
Thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, Margit, thank you so much.
I have used actually after watching Cyriel in action, I have used it with my colleagues and then later with my clients as well. And it's really a very nice activity to learn from Cyriel with regards to talking about changing mindset. And it's really an aha moment. So warmly recommend you watching it.
Yeah.
Idea.net, yes.
I've also added another link, idkillers.net. There you can download it in 9 different languages. So feel free to check it out. Yeah.
Thank you. That is really nice one. Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, I would like to say that the elephant's path was a really great example. And sometimes these change projects and the change management is making it really impossible to really achieve the change.
Yes.
Because there's a system, there's this and that and that, and then 10 steps. In order to get there, one should better observe, like you showed it. Observe what people do, least resistance, and then make it the program.
I absolutely agree. Sometimes we want that people are innovative, but there are 10 rules. They have to fill out 10 documents. Wait a minute, we want IDs, but you need a business plan, and you need finance, and you need a signature, and you need this. Yeah, then they say, okay, I'm not going to do anything. Instead of focusing on taking away some resistance, instead of adding something new. But yeah, a lot of leaders are afraid of that, because you're losing control a little bit. No, you're giving autonomy. You trust your people, let them, and if something goes wrong, have a conversation. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we better focus on taking away some resistance instead of adding new rules and being amazed that people are not doing something.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for joining us today, for all these questions as well. I hope you see that this Change Does Matter webinar, the objective is to share, to inspire, and see what we can learn from each other. And thank you so much, Cyriel, for sharing your time and your wisdom with us. I think really great insights, hopefully inspiration for people as well to take back. Wherever you work, whatever you do, just take 1 or 2 nuggets away from today's session and you will be richer. So thank you very much. We warmly welcome you for the next sessions as well. They happen approximately every 6 weeks. And let's keep sharing. Let's keep learning from each other. Have a lovely rest of the day, wherever you might be. Thank you.